out. So if you're dating, be on the lookout for these things: clarity over ambiguity, communication over assumptions, repair over avoidance, right? Boundaries over pressure, self-awareness over performance, right? These are things that should be building in dating, and having the awareness to be on the lookout for these things could help you, to keep you from pain or making some, the wrong decisions or stuff like this. Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. So excited to have you back here. Thanks for joining and tuning in to us again. We're excited to bring some more topics about marriages. So we're starting a 2-week kind of mini-series, which I'm kind of excited about. And it's on the topic of dating. Now, our listeners may wonder, like, well, what like, it's a marriage podcast, why are we talking about dating? Well, I mean, we're going to get a lot into that.
It all starts there.
Yeah, it actually does all start there. And so we're going to walk through that because dating actually has a lot to do with parts of your marriage, and you may not realize that. And
I'm excited.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to be looking into that. And honey, do you have a favorite or not favorite date type story?
Date type?
Yeah, sure.
Like
dating, date. Maybe it was one date. Maybe it was a dating experience.
Well, we didn't really date like in like the normal sense.
It's true.
Because we started dating in high school, so it's just so different. It's like, it's not like, oh, let's go on like a date, or like, let's go.
We were just always together at school.
Right. And so ours was a little bit different, but I will say that my dating like icks are anytime that we currently go on a date and it ends up going sideways, or like we end up like arguing.
Oh yeah.
It's like we always say that it's like we need to go back to that place and like redeem it, because
I love that we even do that.
And there's just, I think there's 2 places that we haven't gone back to since, and it's just because there's no reason. It's just we just haven't gone back to them. But I love the redemption of that. But so I would say like that was like the first thing that came to my mind.
When a date turns like it
turns sideways,
like
I
hate it. It was so great, it was going so good, and then just one thing or a couple, and then it just falls off the rails.
And my problem is that it's like sometimes I have really high expectations for particular dates.
Yep.
And so yeah,
which is a good thing.
When those don't necessarily pan out the way that I wanted it to,
disappointment comes flooding in.
Wah.
Okay, so we're going to start like you did. I like how you started with a little bit of history last time.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go through a quick history of like dating, because you don't have to know things very long to know that dating has evolved.
Yeah, it used to be like courting, and then it was like I always think, like when you're talking about this, I immediately go back to Bridgerton.
Oh yeah,
on like
totally. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start there.
Okay,
all right. So,
cool.
Well, kind of stuff.
I'm
okay.
excited.
So here we go. Okay, in the early 1900s, relationships followed courtship.
Oh, I was right.
No, totally. Family guided, community shaped, and marriage focused from the very start. That was the way it was. By the mid 1900s, dating became more independent and social. Couples spent time together, enjoyed companionship, and still moved toward marriage with clear expectations.
Mm-hmm.
The late 1960s and 70s brought the sexual revolution, separating sex from marriage and prioritizing personal freedom. Commitment became optional, and desire began leading relationships.
Interesting.
You go to the 80s and 90s, and dating shifted towards self-discovery and compatibility. So it increased emotional awareness, but also fear of settling. Okay. Get to the 2000s, that introduced online dating, expanding access and choice. Comparison quietly replaced discernment.
Interesting.
And then today's app culture prioritizes options, speed, and flexibility. clarity is delayed, exits are easy, and commitment is often postponed. Interesting, huh?
Fascinating.
So, okay. So I'm going to take us through a few kind of categories of things that I want to talk about because first I want to start with the fact that dating matters more than we think it does, because dating in itself is not a neutral activity. It's not like, it has impact not only in who you choose, but who you are when you go into dating changes because of the experiences that you have and how you see love and how you see how people should be treated. And those are, what your expectations are, stuff like that. And that's all happening in the midst of this dating culture. And that particular culture starts to bleed into your expectations, or the person that is dating, that person's expectations. So actually what's happening in dating is more not formidable. There is more formation happening in dating than I think many people give it credit for.
I mean, I would say so, because it's like, I also think that because nowadays we are very app driven, and that's like how you meet people a lot of the times now. So it's very superficial, because you see the profile picture first, and then it's like, okay, do I want to click into their profile?
Yep.
And then it's like, you start having the conversations, and then it's like, you may be having conversations with 10, 15, 20 different people. And when do those conversations stop? Or are you always kind of keeping like the doors open on multiple people? And so it becomes kind of like that superficial thing.
No, totally. And just think what that starts to then build within you of just this swipe, move on
options, always
options, which in itself, I don't know that is bad, because, and we'll get, I don't want to get too far ahead, but in itself, that's not a bad thing. It always ends up being what we do with it is the bad thing, because we create it into be something unhealthy,
right?
As opposed to something that was intended to be helpful. Because there's many people that have fantastic marriages today, and they met online.
Oh, we know tons of people
and app, and so there, for at its inception, some wonderful things can happen. But with every evolving and new thing, a different kind of problems arise that you don't necessarily think of. And I think, especially in the app culture, that there are some things happening that we're bringing into the marriage, and and we'll talk about those things. But one of the things that why I think it's important that we actually go through this in this topic, and this topic was your idea, and I think it's great. And as I started to do a little bit of research in it, I really saw the value in there are some. Well, we know this to be true across the board in marriages today. There are problems and struggles that tie all the way back to patterns that you had before you even got into the relationship.
Right.
Some of those can be tied back to the relationships you had while dating. And that's why I think this is such a great topic, because as we begin to kind of tease out what those things may be, you may find in your own marriage, like, wait a second, could I have brought that expectation in from my expectations in dating, and now this is like part of our marriage, and how that could really affect that. And so I love the fact that we get to talk about this, because that's real. Our experience is a little different, not because it's good or bad. It's just our longest relationship was each other.
And I also think that its culture has changed so much.
So much.
So anyone that has been married more than 10 years, I would say is already kind of out of that whole dating kind of conversation because dating has changed so much even in 10 years.
No, that's a great point because it absolutely has. Even the culture that we were a part of, we weren't necessarily a part of because of our unique circumstances. And I guess when you think of dating, we likely have a lot of single people that listen to our podcast and kind of stuff like that. We're talking, what age do you think we're talking here? College, like college age going forward? Would we dip into high school? Like maybe midway through high school? Is that?
Are you talking about our listeners?
No. Just like when we're talking about dating, what are we in our minds? What are we referencing?
I think it runs the gamut because I think you have a lot of people that are also maybe divorced. I think.
Oh, that's great.
Yep. They're entering back into the dating scene.
Oh man, could you imagine that?
Oh, well, we have like my best friend. She like actually lost her husband.
Yep. Oh my gosh, and getting back into that 20 years later.
Yeah, and walking with her through her dating process of entering back into that. It's a whole new world that she was having to navigate. And, just all the things and all of the little nuances and how and as I think for a woman, it really messes with your insecurities because there is so much, let me have a conversation with you. And then all of a sudden it's like you're talking to this person for days and then they start ghosting you.
It's like you're on an interview every time. It's a job interview every time. Like, that's right. That's a great point.
And it's just, it's so awkward too, because it's like everything is superficial. It's what is your profile updated with? Like, if you are faith-based and that's really important to you, then you start talking to someone and you're like, oh my gosh, like you're not even close to being a Christian. So it's like there's all of these things that it's like you put out there what you want or what you think people want and find attractive, but then it's actually it's all smoke and mirrors. So it's like I think that it's like what we're discussing here is actually really layered because it can be really great, but then it can also be really complicated.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where, when you look back at the history of dating, I don't feel like it was as complicated back then. That's why one of our sons doesn't want to be on an app. He's like, I tried it for about 10 minutes and he was like, I couldn't do it anymore because it felt inauthentic and he wanted something to be organic and natural as opposed to this like forced, like swipe right kind of thing.
Yeah. And speaking of, so we'll go right in this current landscape. So current landscape is this kind of app driven culture, which it trains evaluation over curiosity, right? So now dating is all about, like you were just saying, you're making these evaluations and the profile, and it's just like it's a job application practically, and then it now creates this idea that there's endless possibilities.
Yeah,
which in a sense that kind of makes, which is probably a value to the people that created the app. Like, yeah, you have endless possibilities. The problem is, relationship has never intended to be an endless possibility of relationships.
Right.
There's supposed to be this idea of let's do this together. Let's work this out together. And we're in this culture that now you can just move on. That's now being built in. You can just move on and not have to. This feels hard. Next,
we're not exercising the muscles for longevity because we're quick to be like, oh, well, this got difficult, so I'm not going to repair this. I'm just going to move on to the next best thing. what you think or are considering could be the next best thing.
Isn't that crazy? Like, there is no muscles being used to work through things that are different.
Conflict, hardships,
Anything.
differences.
Difference of opinion.
Yeah.
Anything. There's no muscles being used to do that unless you bring that particular desire in. Like, no, we're going to try to work this out. Unless you're bringing that kind of discipline into an app-driven relationship, you're very likely going to start being formed into a human that is not ready for conflict because you're so used to like, well, the last 37 were just hard, so I'm just going to move on to 38. And you think of this context too. We're becoming now okay with people becoming profiles before they're human.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just thinking of that idea. And I don't want to again bash the technology of finding someone who is compatible with you. Not bashing that at all.
I think that's a good point because it's not the app that has created the issues.
Correct.
It's us as humans. It's our humanity that has leaked into something that was created for goodness and for like more accessibility. And because there are some really great things about the apps. And we know a lot of people that have met through apps, very beneficial. And it creates, because there are algorithms that do match you with people that are like-minded.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there are so many helpful tools within that. But I do think that you have to have that level of maturity. And I don't know that this, like, if we're talking about like the age ranges, I don't know that the younger generation has built those skills of conflict resolution, going the gamut of conflict and different opinions and being able to adjust
totally
and become one together, because they're in such a technological forward generation.
Yeah.
Because think about it, it's like most of their conversations before they even meet and see each other in person are through text message or like an occasional phone call, but most of the relationship is built on texting. So it's not even like you're not able to see their facial like structures. And it's like you can be really witty through text message, but then really dull in real life.
No, absolutely. Especially when you have chat.
No, honestly.
Like you could be amazing via text and then you get the person to person and it's just, I mean, because you think about it, the people going into using these dating apps, I don't want to frame it like that. Sometimes there can be people that use dating apps trying to understand this is how you date, and they're being taught by the technology.
Right.
Like, this is how you go about doing it. Now, I can see where, like, for instance, the friend that you were speaking of, where the dating app could be helpful because getting back in the dating scene now, because where are you going to meet people? I remember even our son mentioning this, like, once you get out of like college and out of school, like, where are you going to meet people?
Right.
Church, bar,
job.
Like that's what it is.
Or an acquaintance.
Yeah. That's true. Or an acquaintance. It's interesting. If you and I did a dating app, we would have never met.
Yeah,
because
probably
we don't
not.
have any. Faith would have been the only crossover. That's crazy. Like we would have not been considered compatible.
Yeah, and I wonder. I would like to. Like, we should find out like some like dating expert too, because a lot of the times the most healthy relationships are opposites. But do the apps actually?
I wonder if you can choose. You could probably choose Do you want somebody with your same likes or someone, oh, they got to have that option. If I'm sitting here thinking about it, there's got to be a choice that you can make that says, I am not looking for somebody that's like me, but someone who has.
I'm just really thankful that you don't know this, because now I don't need to be concerned that you're on some secret dating app.
Oh, is that all?
No,
they have all those things?
That's a thing nowadays too, is that like husbands or wives can be in a healthy marriage, and then it's like you're just like, oh, I want to be on a dating app, and you can select that you're married.
Oh, this is disgusting.
But that's like a whole other.
We're doing a whole other
topic.
That should have been okay. Anyway, so in the current, go ahead.
Well, and I just wanted to say too that I think what's really interesting about the whole dating apps and like texting having a really long kind of runway, when you do actually finally meet someone, you feel like you know them. So I feel as though and someone can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the, first base, second base, third base, like I feel like that whole thing gets way shortened, because now it's like, oh, well, I already know you and I feel like I know you intimately. So I feel like, oh, we can go to first, second, or third base a lot earlier, because it's like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And then the guy ghosts you, or the girl ghosts you.
Right. Yep.
And now you're heaping on more insecurities and more. So how would you recommend doing dating on a dating app right in today's culture and world?
The first thing that comes to mind for me, because I don't have a content, I don't even know, I don't do anything. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
But what I would recommend to anyone, which I wouldn't need anybody to show me the technology, is there's certain things that you just have to see through. There is going to be criteria that you're going to have to come up with that isn't necessarily always based on there either being a disagreement, maybe something, you don't look at something the same way. Like there's got to be these pillar things that you're looking for, and not running away from
difficulties.
Yeah, like that's my biggest thing. But I haven't really thought that through. I mean, we're gonna get towards the end. We're gonna give some kind of healthy ways to maybe go into it. But my recommendation at the get is don't be afraid to fight for relational friction. Like don't be afraid to have friction. Don't be afraid to do that. Especially now, there's going to be red flags that you're going to know, but you're going to know if you're like, I just don't want to deal with somebody who's not agreeing with me. You're going to know when you're kind of like, I'm just going to bail. Or is it something that you need to work through? Don't I don't know. Don't pull the ejection seat quite yet. I guess my recommendation would be don't be afraid to lean in to the relationship.
And I would add to, in the beginning time of where you are potentially having a lot of different conversations, don't go all in on, a handful of people. Stay really open and pliable, because there's going to be a lot of different conversations being had. And I think when we let our emotions go too far ahead of us, we can open ourselves up to getting hurt. And that's when our insecurities are put more on the forefront and that sort of thing. And then once you actually start having those kinds of conversations, be open to having the conversation with the other person and be like, okay, so like I'm just curious, like what is, like, how do you work on the apps? Like, how many dates do we have to go on before, we, start not having conversations with other people?
Right.
Like
that's good.
Always focusing on communication, because just just like we always say, like the communication is so pivotal and so valid in a marriage relationship. It's really key and pivotal in the early stages. And I think that nowadays everyone is so afraid of coming off too clingy and too needy in relationships. But it's like, really, it's like there's no problem in putting yourself out there, and you can have that honest conversation and be like, I don't want to come off as clingy or needy, but I'm just kind of curious, like, how do you navigate, going on dates? Like, are you dating multiple people, and just be like honest and just open about those types of things, so that you're not opening yourself up to getting hurt by, the opposite sex.
There's also in this current culture, especially in dating, where there's the hookup culture as well, where the physical intimacy is just considered a pleasure as opposed to an emotional connection point, where that's become a devastating blow to relationships, where I don't think people properly understand the depth and effect that has, not only on the one, it's on both. It's on both sides, right? And so, those things can be redeemed and get that, but when you're not aware of the act of giving yourself sexually or pursuing sexuality without commitment, the breakdown later in life is just the effects that truly has on a relationship is it's very difficult, and it tangles a very difficult web to undo, and not being aware of that going into this culture where that's normal. If you're one that wants to wait for marriage for the one that you choose, you are absolutely the
minority,
100% in this culture, 100%.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we've done a lot of like talks on like sex and that kind of stuff, and when you have intimate relationships with the opposite sex, your body actually releases a hormone that connects you on a deeper level to that person,
right? And
that is God's design for marriage, to have that deeper connection. And that's why we always say, like, having a healthy sex life is important, because you're constantly keeping that connection going.
That's right.
But it is so challenging in today's culture when it's like that sexual relationship is more of like a hookup. It's like I think we take for granted what it does to us physically, because now we're having a hormone that's attached to someone that it's like you're not going to be attached to long term.
And just look at what it does. Tie that back to marriage, where you have now there's confusion between chemistry and intimacy, right? There's emotional availability challenges because you don't quite understand that part, and then there's difficulty with building a deep attachment, because sexual intimacy between committed partners in marriage is like you were saying, is a depth that's never been intended for a casual thing. It's been this extra level multiplier in a relationship. But if you've come up in a culture where it's flippant, where it's whatever, whenever, however, now when you do find your committed relationship, there's something that could be lacking there, because you've created a muscle per se, or an expectation internally that there is no deeper than just the act of sexual gratification, and that's it. And that that was never, ever, ever the design.
And even going a little bit further in that is you may even be seeing red flags, but because you've had sex prematurely in your relationship, you may want to just kind of like brush them under the rug because you've allowed that person into that space. And so you may actually like,
So you're saying for someone who values that physical connection, because they now have that physical connection, they ignore red flags because that piece is there.
yeah, I think that what it does is it keeps you tied into the relationship longer than what you should be, or it makes you overlook certain things because you either don't want to let go of that piece, or you feel guilt because it's like maybe you have the morals and you have the high standards of that. It's like, I never wanted to be this person. I never wanted to allow this thing. It's like there's so many guilt things that are tied within that intimacy aspect that we overlook because of that instant gratification, or we're in the moment and we let things go too far. It's like there's so many aspects to this, and that's why the dating conversation is so big, because there's so many things that are pulling for our attention and for, just the world that we live in.
I mean, we haven't even talked about the part of the culture, the current culture, that's this non-committal. Just no real commitment. It's casual. It's whatever. It's I'm just going to move on. And what that does then in a marriage, and take that into your next marriage, where now the muscles that you've been growing are, I really am just imagine if you were in a dating culture for 2, 3, 4 years, and then all of a sudden you get into a longer term relationship, and you've just been used to just moving on. Commitment becomes like I'm not going to sign that. I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, there's a huge component in this generation that if everyone's just open to giving it up, then why have the piece of paper? Why go that direction? And then again, it's like, we'll just go on the other side of that too, that it's like, if you are not wanting to give that up, then you're considered a prude or, stuck up or, playing hard to get and that kind of thing. It's like it's so challenging to find compatibility when, there are just a lot of options, and you just have that digital component that it's like, I'm just going to say this for men. And again, tell me if I'm wrong or comment below if I'm wrong, but I do think that there is a component that you start getting DMs from girls, or you start having all of these conversations, it becomes like an addiction to where it's like, now if you've started a committed relationship, how do you cut that off? Because you are constantly feeling pursued in so many different areas. And
because that was your normal.
Right.
That's what you did. That's the culture.
For potentially years.
Yeah.
Because dating, I believe the dating span is longer today than it was, maybe even when we were dating. But it's like, now, how do you change your mind from constantly being pursued and wanted and desired?
Wow.
And now cutting that off in this digital world. And now you have to be in a committed relationship, and how easy it is to turn that button back on to start having conversations again, even if you are in a committed relationship. I've heard that happens a lot. And it's like, and it's sad because, again, what is happening in this culture is something that was intended for good. It's like, we live in a world that there is an enemy that is wanting to rob, kill, and destroy. And he's wanting to rob, kill, and destroy relationships, marriages, anything that God blessed and said was good. It's like there is an enemy that wants to destroy that.
Yeah.
I just personally believe that there's a lot of attacks on dating, on media, on just relationships in general.
If the enemy's tactic would love to keep you in a dating, social casual relationship for the rest of your life.
Forever.
Only pursue your pleasures. Only pursue the things that make you feel good. Only pursue the things that agree with you. Only that is where they want that because then you become weak in your character, and it's just all you're doing is pursuing pleasure. So that was a great point. That's an interesting dynamic, and that's why we want to do this episode, because we want to bring awareness. Maybe you're getting into the dating scene and you never thought about, shoot, how would I shut that off? Why would I want to be exposed to all of these different women or men, same thing, and then have to then shut that off and figure out how that works? Because as you can attest to, everybody likes to be pursued. You like to know that you're wanted.
100%.
And so something that feels good because of, you're kind of to shut that off, man, that's it's very difficult. So, one of the things as I was doing this research is we come from church. Our life has been church. And one of the things at church is they're called discipleship programs, where the purpose of a discipleship program is to go in and then you learn about how to become the goal of the disciples. Discipled, you're growing in a particular direction. Dating is like discipleship because you are getting into it and you are being formed whether you like it or not. I mean, think about this. So this is what dating used to be, or often was like this. You were taught to how to pursue. You were taught how to face rejection. You were taught how to clarify values. You were taught how to move toward commitment. Well, now what dating teaches you, how to detach quickly, how to keep exits open, how to avoid hard conversations, and how to replace repair with replacement.
Wow.
That is just defeating.
How do you think that people were taught that before? Well,
because culture had a mandate, and the mandate over culture was a morality was something that was important, and so it came from families, and then the families had expectation for their offspring, and so you naturally went into that knowing. How did I learn how to pursue? Well, my mom and dad taught me, or you think about even schools.
It was etiquette.
Yeah, it was all of those things. Like everything went that direction. Plus, church was a bigger thing back then than it is now, and so that's what set the pace.
And honor and respect, too.
Yes, 100%. And so now you get into a culture where morality is a little bit more soft. It's a little bit more liberal. Everybody gets to pursue their own truth, what they think is right, wrong, or indifferent. And now, since everything is just kind of you just do whatever you want to, you get out there, and then who's teaching you are the people that are in the ring with you, and that's your expectation. So now, even if you had the right heart, and intention, you very well could put yourself out there and get into the ring, and all of a sudden, you are being taught, whether you're trying to or not, or open to it or not, you are being taught now that it's easy to exit. I don't have to do the hard things. I can just do this. I don't have to have hard conversations, only because of who you are becoming in the midst of the environment that you're in, even though that's not even your intention. You're being discipled. Like you're literally being discipled.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because that's the culture that we as a culture have created, and that's the environment. Now, can you avoid that environment? Absolutely. Is it more difficult? Yes, it is, because it's not as easy.
Right.
You got to go pursue somebody from places that you feel are the kind of people that you want to be with, right? So that's the app. The app is now you going to the place that you think you might meet someone. Like you've replaced the app to, I'm just going to go to a location and live in this environment, or you have the accidental happenstance that you run into somebody like at a high school or something like that. But I mean, isn't that interesting how I saw that and I'm like, oh my gosh, dating is discipleship. It's formation. You're in a formation class. You have to know that. That's why, again, the awareness that that this is happening, whether you push back on it or not, it is happening. And to be aware that you could be teaching yourself things that could hinder a wonderful relationship
Yeah.
or marriage in the future.
Yeah. Get a mentor.
That's a great point.
Stay open and invite other people into your relationship. If everyone is kind of having red flags, you don't need to convince someone that this person is great. Let them show their true colors.
No, that's absolutely good. So what I want to do is I want to end with some healthy dating suggestions.
Love it.
To kind of have those things there. That dating is not an audition. It's a formation process. When you know that going in, you're better prepared for it, right? It's not perfection hunting, but it's having discernment, right? If it was perfection hunting, we wouldn't be married. There were many red flags that you had from me that, had you not pushed through, and we wouldn't be married, and we wouldn't have the life that we have. And then also, not chemistry first, but character. So you could have quick chemistry, and then all of a sudden, I don't know how many, we see reality TV that you see it right away. They're like, "Oh my, this is amazing," and then all of a sudden you get to really know each other, and like, dude, you're a jerk. Like you're not a nice human at all.
Or you run when conflict happens,
Oh
or
my
you
gosh.
put down people, or I hear how you talk about other people. Those are all really good clues on the character that someone is
Absolutely.
having deep inside.
Yes. So things like this is what healthy dating should build. And so be on the lookout. So if you're dating, be on the lookout for these things. Clarity over ambiguity, communication over assumptions, repair over avoidance, right? Boundaries over pressure, self-awareness over performance, right? These are things that should be building in dating, and having the awareness to be on the lookout for these things could help you, to keep you from pain or making something, the wrong decisions or stuff like this. So, pay attention to how you handle discomfort. Don't confuse chemistry with character, right? That's what we talked about. Practice clarity early, even when it's awkward, right? Even when it's awkward. And ask things like, what kind of spouse is this shaping me to be, right? This relationship that or this formation that's happening, the person that I'm becoming right now, what kind of a spouse am I becoming in the middle of this? And, next week, we're actually going to continue dating, but it's going to be for married couples, because I don't know if you know this, but dating doesn't end once you get married.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm 27 years in, and I'm learning that. But some final words.
Yep.
Final words. Dating shapes marriage long before the vows are spoken.
True that.
Right? Awareness creates choice, and then choice creates hope. Because now you have an awareness what a dating culture could be doing. With that awareness, you now have a choice. With a choice brings hope to something more healthy. Don't rush it. You're not behind. You're becoming aware. That's a great thing. And awareness is where transformation begins. Now, you could be one right now to where you're in the midst of the dating culture, and maybe upon hearing this, you are seeing like, oh my gosh, what's going on? If you're feeling guilt or shame, I want to stop you right there. That's not what this is about. Having awareness allows and gives you opportunity for your next step to be somewhere going in the direction that you want to go. And so there is no guilt, there is no shame. If you feel a conviction, like maybe this is for me, then that's a good thing. Start making decisions. Maybe reconsider ways of engaging with the kind of the dating culture right now. And from a faith perspective, which is where we came from, we've done things in our dating life that we're not proud of, but we're not defined by them because we serve a God that promises to make us complete. And he's not going to give up on us. He never has given up on us. And our first step towards redemption is us making the decision of, I'm going to go in a better direction this time instead of what I have been doing. And that gets you to the place where he can redeem the decisions that we've made. He can restore hurt. He can take something that was painful and make it beautiful. And it all starts with making that decision, of course, and moving towards that. And so this, again, is all about shining a light on what could be happening. One, if you're going into it, if you are into it, or you're on the other side of it, and having the awareness that maybe I brought some of it with me, and learning about that in your relationship.
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
And I would say invite the Lord into your relationships.
Absolutely.
Early on, get the discernment of the Lord on you, and get a good mentor and have them walking you through the things that you're seeing. And, could this be a red flag? Is this not? Because sometimes we make, molehills out of anthill? No.
Mountains out of molehills.
Mountains out of molehills. It's like we make it bigger than it needs to be.
Mountain out of molehill.
So it's like don't see every single thing as a red flag. That's why getting a mentor is so important. But
because that red flag very well just may be, I'm uncomfortable, but you should be uncomfortable in that. But when you walk through, it's building.
And that's why having someone else to process. And I would say not a girlfriend, but an actual mentor, or not just a bro.
That's objective.
But an actual mentor that has been there ahead of you and that will actually help you and partner with you and give you mature advice.
I love you.
It's key.
I'm glad we found each other at high school and not on an app.
There's value.
There's value, actually. After I said that, I'm like, well, that's not helpful. That's not helpful. Well,
anyways.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Don't forget, go to our website. We have a bunch of resources there. Would love you to take advantage of those and come back. See us next time for Dating Part 2.
Yep. I love it.
See you next time.